The story kicks off at night in a super creepy forest, where a chill little blue lizard is just strolling along. Suddenly, the sound of heavy footsteps spooks the little guy, making it dip out of there fast. A whole squad of armed orcs comes sprinting in, with one of them hollering for backup for his bros. Right at that second, a bunch of glowing magical arrows streak across the night sky. One of the arrows totally snipes an orc right in the leg. The hit makes him hit the dirt, groaning in pain, while his squad tries to help him out. Enter a majestic-looking elf flexing a glowing bell, making the orcs look like total cavemen in comparison. Glaring at the group, the elf claims these pests are trashing his aesthetic forest and orders them to stand down. Since nobody's agreeing to anything, a massive brawl breaks out between the orcs and the local elves. One orc goes full try-hard, swinging his axe like a maniac. The elf casually dodges the attack and even has the nerve to call his opponent mid. Knocking another shiny arrow, the elf promises to send the orc on a permanent vacation with his fallen squadmates. But out of nowhere, this intense neon green light just blinds the whole battlefield. A humongous emerald dragon drops from the sky, blasting the ground with energy. When the dust clears, one of the orcs starts fanboying hard, hyping up the arrival of the Green Master and boss of the forest. The emerald beast lands right in the middle of the mosh pit, flexing its absolute unit of a body. Cuffing a bunch and looking kind of washed, the monster tells the tribe to group up and fall back to the deep, dark woods. Panicking, a battered orc asks what's going to happen to their turf. Staring off in the distance, the dragon gives it to them straight. They are dipping from this zone. But he quickly hits them with a plot twist, saying this isn't how their story ends. Spreading his wings, the beast makes a hardcore vow on his own pride. He hypes himself up as the ultimate boss who hands out and takes away life in the swamps and woods. Lifting his head and charging up his energy, he makes a pinky promise as the Green Dragon and Lord of all things green. The orcs are literally starstruck listening to the promise that they'll take back the hood stolen by these stuck-up elves. With an angry roar, the Green Lord guarantees that payback is happening. Out of the blue, this mystery voice chimes in, totally roasting the huge promise coming from such an irrelevant NPC. Before anyone can even blink, a massive ball of golden energy absolutely decks the Green Dragon. The hit is so insanely strong it yeets the monster backward, giving him zero chance to block. To do a single thing, the orcs just watch this one-sided beatdown happen. Taking advantage of the opening, a gigantic gold dragon swoops in and lands a critical hit on the green beast. The golden monster pins his rival to the ground like it's child's play. Looking down at the loser, the newcomer trash talks him, calling him the bottom-tier trash of their species. Just an inferior green shell. The second they realize the golden dragon, the golden pride himself, is there, the orcs hit absolute panic mode. Moving fast, the golden beast drops an Alio shockwave across the whole fight zone. Pinned to the dirt, the Green Master asks who gave him the right to wreck his stuff, considering the forest was his from day one. The golden dragon literally just laughs out loud and calls him an uneducated mistake. Flexing a blinding glow, he egotistically claims that he is the original entity. Then, he takes off and just hovers over the totally wrecked green beast. The golden monster straight up declares that he is the ultimate law around here. In front of the elves, the gold dragon asks if the ops really thought he'd just grab popcorn and watch his divine realm get swallowed by darkness. Charging up his ultimate move, he adds that he'd never let those filthy monsters run the server. The emerald dragon claps back, saying ego has its limits and calling him nothing but an annoying golden try-hard. Deciding the chat is over, the original being says, "Nuff," and ironically rates his opponent's final words as top tier. Dropping his max level spell, he wishes the Green Lord a peaceful retirement in the next dimension. An overwhelmingly overpowered energy beam wipes out everything in its path, bringing the survival rate to absolute zero. The Emerald Dragon freefalls into a dark abyss, totally cursing his own game over. In his head, he thinks about how the endgame would have been different if he had the Red Dragon's fire stats. He also realizes that if he had the Blue Dragon's big brain energy, things would have gone another way. As his life force shrinks into a zip file, he swears he'll get his payback against that golden snob, even if he has to break the space-time continuum. Cut to human military glove suddenly grabbing a shiny, greenish egg. A masked soldier stares at this weird loot drop he just found. He squints at the egg, trying to figure out what the heck this thing is. Down on his knees, the guy is super focused on his bizarre unboxing. The scene cuts to a frontline military camp in Northeast Asia, right in the middle of World War III. Inside a tent, a tiny lizard hits a crazy trick shot, catching a bug with its tongue. A soldier is giving his rifle a hardcore deep clean. Then a lower-ranking grunt pops into the tent looking for the platoon's sub-commander. The guy who just walked in gives the thumbs up that maintenance is done. Jian just gives a dry, "I'm on it." Grabbing his rifle, he dips from the tent and walks through the camp's trenches. Seeing a crowd huddled up, Lee Jian asks what all the drama is about. A soldier holds up some items and explains a kid came down the mountain carrying this stuff. The kid, chilling with a tiny dog, is holding out some military rations. Super obvious the kid wants to trade the MREs for some actual decent food. With zero hesitation, the sergeant coldly orders them to send the kid packing. Awkward silence drops over the trench as everyone processes the absolute ice-cold rejection. Ignoring the awkward vibes, Lee Jian just turns around and starts walking away. The kid, though sprints up in death, grips the sergeant's sleeve. While the puppy barks, a soldier yells out for the sub-commander. Watching this go down, one of the troops whispers about how the boss has zero chill and no empathy whatsoever. Another guy agrees, saying their boss has no humanity left and is basically a monster forged in the lobby of war. But totally plotting against his own bad guy rep, Lee Jian stealthily slips a care package of food into the kid's hand. The boy hugs the food tight, feeling a massive wave of relief from the surprise plot twist. After that, the soldier hands over a few more cans and snacks to the kid. A rookie thinks to himself that surviving in this dump would have been way harder if it wasn't for the leader's hidden soft spot. The boy happily trots away with his puppy, while a soldier wonders out loud what their boss even did before the world went sideways. Getting all nostalgic, the rookie starts spilling the lore on the sergeant's pre-war life. They just sit there chatting, trying to guess what kind of 9 to 5 this hardcore war machine used to work. The chill vibes are instantly ruined when a soldier's eyes bug out, and he starts screaming about an airstrike. The commander yells for everyone hit the trenches ASAP with heavy artillery for a counterattack. The danger is heading straight for the exact spot where the kid and the dog are just walking, completely exposed. Without a second thought, Lee Jian sprints like a madman right into the danger zone. Freaking out, his squad reaches out, trying to stop him from pulling this totally unalive mission move. Despite them screaming his name, the MC ignores the chat and pushes forward with zero hesitation. With the explosive dropping, he dives through the air, trying to clutch the round in the final millisecond. Smoke and debris spam the area, forcing the rest of the squad to take cover. Trying to cover the sergeant, a soldier shoots at the sky, begging him to fall back immediately. The airstrike goes crazy, and bullets light up the area, turning the front line into pure chaos. While a bomb freefalls, the soldier's life flashes before his eyes, revealing his actual past career. Miles away from this nightmare, he remembers his super chill life working at a quiet pet shop. The young guy spent his days feeding lizards with absolute dedication and zen vibes. Back then, he literally thought every living creature was the most beautiful thing ever. Hanging out and helping raise those little guys was his ultimate happy place. Snap back to reality, the war zone. He's carrying a battered teammate, thinking about how all his military clout means absolutely nothing. He knows full well that having a high K-5D ratio and getting salutes from his squad can't even compare to the peace he used to have. Taking off his helmet looking totally burnt out, the soldier finally admits his real feelings. His only goal in life was to return to a totally basic, peaceful NPC lifestyle. His biggest dream was literally just to vibe and take care of cute, harmless little critters. Running on pure instinct, he launches himself and manages to catch the grenade before it hits the kid. Clutching the item, a massive urge to not get game takes over his brain amidst the panic. He stares at the explosive, realizing his survival is hanging by a thread. Hugging the bomb, the sergeant curls up on the ground, bracing for the big boom that'll end it all. Stays there, sweating bullets and panting, waiting for the curtain call that, weirdly, never happens. Suddenly, he opens his eyes, totally mind blown that the explosive was a dud. Sitting in the dirt, he can't wrap his head around how a grenade magically shifted into a giant green egg. While he's inspecting this glitch in the Matrix, a booming voice echoes from inside it, introducing itself as the Shadow, Bringer of the Woods. The entity keeps flexing with this super extra speech, claiming to have admin privileges over life and death in the swamps. Dropping the name, Green Dragon. The voice demands that the guy who found him become his minion right now. A massive shadow of the monster pops up behind Lee Jian, loudly demanding the human be his babysitter. Freaked out by this absolute fever dream, the soldier just drops the item on the floor. The spirit entity's eyes go wide, completely blue, screened by the sheer disrespect. The egg bounces on the ground sketchily, looking like it might just crack and end the run right there. Furious that his vessel was treated like garbage, the dragon throws a tantrum, calling the human a toxic troll for rejecting his VIP invitation. Ignoring the meltdown, Lee Jian smoothly unholsters his piece and points it right at the ghost. The mystical being gives a snubby laugh, making fun of how clueless the human is. Acting like royalty, the green beast says his current look is just a mashup of multiple past lives from different eras. He keeps hyping himself up as a god, saying his vocabulary is way too big brain for a basic mortal to get. The monologue gets cut off real quick when the sergeant clicks the safety off, showing he has exactly 0 patience left. Scared of catching a bullet, the monster instantly drops the attitude and starts praising the guy's bravery to cool him down. Picking the egg back up, Lee Jian looks around totally lost, wondering what server he just spawned into. Staring at the empty void around him, he bluntly asks if this means he got unalived in the war. Full of himself, the green beast says that's a pretty solid way to look at it. Stressing out, the soldier immediately asks about his squad and the kid who were in the blast zone. Annoyed that the chat went off topic, the entity roasts the guy for worrying about side quests right after getting a respawn. Hearing that absolute garbage take, the soldier grips his gun tighter, giving off major silent threat vibes. Realizing he messed up, the dragon panics again and admits he has 0 clue where the base NPCs went. In his head, the monster complains about rolling such a stubborn, hard-headed human. He's super salty that the mortal didn't flinch at his boss, Aura, and basically took over the lobby instantly. Keeping up the scary guy routine, Lee Jian demands to know how the pet dragged him to this weird place without knowing the patch notes. Trying to cover his tracks, the being confesses he chose the guy to raise him, but it wasn't his magic that triggered the server transfer. He gets super mad remembering the time he got absolutely deleted by the Gold Dragon's OP attack. The Emerald Master Trauma dumps about how his soul wandered through the freezing, empty lag zone of the afterlife. Staring into the void, the entity felt his HP dropping and his screen going dark. But right then, a robotic notification popped up, along with a celestial pop-up offering cross-server resources. The hidden admin told him to pick a caretaker ASAP, and that's how he matched with the soldier's soul. Hyped about his gacha pull, the dragon brags about the human, calling him the prophesied MC who will carry him. The being swears up and down that the military guy is the perfect carry to help him grind his levels back. While Lee Jian holds the egg looking 100% done with this, the monster theorizes the human has an icy logic, just like the blue dragon. Next, he compares the soldier's aggro playstyle to the wild instinct of the red dragon. Looking at the pet shop memories he scanned from the guy's brain, the creature confirms he picked the ultimate main. He doubles down, saying he chose the perfect guy to help him climb back to the top of the ranked ladder. Meanwhile, the MC ignores all the glazing and focuses completely on the system voice that saved the beast. Answering his thoughts, a glowing UI panel pops up and hits him with a welcome, user. The soldier gets curious reading the digital text, explaining the mechanics of this alternate reality. Getting all emotional, the green dragon rubs up against the guy, swearing that this is the voice of the ultimate dev who coded the multiverse. Ignoring the pet's fanboy moment, the sergeant pulls out his own smartphone to fact-check. The beast keeps rambling with tears in his eyes, guessing the head admin stepped in to ban the gold dragon. But the phone chimes and shows a character creation screen asking him to pick a race, totally silencing the dragon. The program displays 3 standard options, listing top-tier classes for humans, elves, and dwarves. Seeing the elf option, the beast loses his mind remembering his ops and screams that they're only good for being farmed for XP. Still raging, the mystical being yells that the green team is going to war, pointing at the orcs as the meta pick. Holding his phone, Lee Jian asks why he should pick that specific race. Instantly, the glowing screen confirms that the orc class has been successfully locked in. The sergeant is completely lost about why the system just auto-accepted that. A digital pop-up explains that picking a low-tier primitive race refunded his leftover skill points, massively buffing his charisma and leadership stats. A magic circle spawns on the floor, and the system announces the Dragon Tamer title is active, maxing out his control stats and starting the fast travel. Blown, the soldier wonders what all this weird gamer nonsense about charisma and taming even means. Totally ignoring the human's confusion, the dragon's hologram stands up looking majestic. The entity states as a hard fact that the golden era is getting cancelled so the green can make a comeback. Getting sucked into the loading screen, the soldier hears the monster call him a hero and command him to go 1v1 the Golden Pride. The beast keeps barking orders, telling the young guy to revive him so they can drop a new Emerald army. As his weapons start floating around him, the voice echoes that this is his ultimate destiny. Tired of the yapping, Lee Jian just asks if the beast even heard a single word he said. The egg just floats there, lonely in the empty room after the sergeant's complaint. Then, a massive beam of blue light drops down, officially booting up the server transfer. Trying to grab the egg during the chaos, the soldier yells that he literally just wanted a chill life taking care of stuff. Falling down an infinite loading tunnel, he thinks that was his final complaint to the devs. Super annoyed, he realizes the AI straight up left his preferences on read. Especially the part about where he wanted to spawn, and what he actually wanted to raise. In the dark, he wonders if this is the afterlife, right as a notification pings saying his gear is currently being eaten by a slime. Sinking with his weapons, the soldier feels like he's drowning in a deep ocean. The screen pops up saying the level 3 mob has been tamed and eating his loot triggered a mutation. Trying to grab his sinking gun, the sergeant feels this weird, warm jelly wrap around him. The system confirms the slime's mutation is complete after it swallowed the piece. Sinking deeper, he reads a notification breaking down the new skill unlocked from the digested gun. Suddenly, Lee Jian runs out of breath underwater and hits full panic mode because he can't breathe. The scenery glitches into a dark forest, and the MC spawns on the ground, hacking his lungs out after almost drowning. Catching his breath, he spots a purple slime casually holding his magic egg. The little blob makes a cute noise and stares at the guy like he's a weird exhibit. Startled by the mob, the sergeant yells and jumps back into a fighting stance. Looking at his hands covered in some weird goo, he notices something super off and just freezes. The military guy inspects his body in pure shock, completely clueless about what happened to his character model. Rocking blue skin and long ears, the guy stands up under the moonlight trying to process this crazy skin swap. Freaking out over the nonsense, he desperately asks himself what kind of glitch is happening to him. The cute slime breaks the quiet with another weird noise, jump, scaring the soldier again. Running on pure combat instincts, the guy reaches for his waist holsters. The panic skyrockets when he realizes his entire inventory is just gone. Right over there, the little jelly is happily munching on the sergeant's combat glove. In a flash, the little beast inhales the whole glove without even chewing. Watching this, the human realizes in horror that the mob ate all his gear, officially flagging it as a major threat. Scanning the area, he decides the big brain move is to stealth away while the monster is distracted eating his glove. Super quietly, the sergeant gets ready to nope out of that zone as fast as humanly possible. Moving quick, he scoops up the green egg from the dirt so he can carry it during his escape. Catching the movement, the slime looks back and makes a confused little sound. Lee Jian ghosts it and sprints through the trees, protecting the VIP quest item. Breathing heavy and totally out of stamina, the guy keeps running through the thick brush to lose aggro from the jelly. Out of nowhere, a Suz gleam in the dark woods catches his eye. Spooked by the flash of light, he turns, thinking he's about to catch an arrow to the face. Actually, a goblin jumps out of the bushes to gank him, making the soldier yell at it to back off. The tiny mob attacks aggressively with a dagger, forcing the MC to sidestep instantly. Cornered, the guy looks for an out from this bad matchup. Surprise attack, the purple slime comes flying in with a high-pitched squeak to block the enemy. Acting as a meat shield, the little jelly tanks the knife, totally impressing the sergeant with the assist. The clash creates a massive flash of light in the woods, giving the human an opening to counter. Seizing the moment, Lee Jian grabs the enemy's arm, canceling the attack animation. A crazy strong energy channels into the sergeant's free hand, lighting up the whole area. A pop-up announces the slime's transformation skill, morphing it into the exact gun it ate earlier. Dead serious, the human realizes his magic skill just went off cooldown. Without blinking, he points the piece right at the little green monster's face. Shooting point blank, the young guy calls out the weapon's name and fires a magic blast that deletes the target instantly. The gunshot echoes through the woods, pulling aggro from two goblin lookouts up in a tower. In a camp far away, an old dude drops his drink, spooked by the noise in the forest. Even a massive dragon flying in the night sky spots the flash near the tree line. With sharp senses, long pointy ears pick up the sound in the dark. An elf scout halts her sprint after picking up on the combat signals. Hiding in the brush, the warrior locks her eyes on the source of the mystery boom. Under the moon, the elf gets into a serious stance, ready to investigate the event. The sun peeks over the mountains, lighting up a cave where some nervous grunts are echoing. In the dark of the cave, two captured goblins are shaking with fear, mumbling absolute gibberish. Totally neutralized, the little monsters are hanging upside down from ropes tied to the ceiling. Standing right next to them, Lee Jian watches the mobs freak out and tells them to shut up. With zero patience, the ex-soldier acts rude, says he's not here for a podcast, and asks who told them they could speak. Terrified of the blue orc boss, the prisoners sweat bullets and shrink back. With the prisoners finally quiet, the guy sits down near his loot and the magic egg. Adding to the fever dream, the slime is just chilling next to the weapons like it didn't do anything crazy. Totally lost, Lee Jian tries to piece together the absolute chaos that happened last night. Suddenly, the slime flies over fast, making a static electricity noise. The jelly smacks right into the human's back out of nowhere. The hit triggers a super fast flash in the dark. Without missing a beat, the young guy spots a goblin rushing him with a knife. On pure instinct, the sergeant dodges while his hand lights up with energy. The UI confirms the jelly just morphed into a pistol. Seeing the weird magic gun, the goblin just freezes in place. Showing no mercy, the sergeant aims the dimensional weapon right at him. Preps the gun, toggling to rapid fire mode. A red beam zaps the goblin, wrapping up the fight instantly. Seeing that, another green mob screams in pure panic. Taking the opening, Lee John fires again without missing a beat. The shot connects, dropping another enemy like a sack of potatoes. A third goblin watches the whole thing, shaking while holding a totally useless knife. Knowing his run is over, he tries to moonwalk away to escape. The surgeon is way too fast and snipes the runner in the back, closing the case. With the danger cleared, the human chills out and checks the drops on the floor. Breathing heavy from the adrenaline spike, he tries to cool down after the ambush. Suddenly, the gun in his hand reverts back to the purple slime. The little pet looks completely gassed while the military guy processes the data. Watching the jelly, he realizes this little guy is super loyal and friendly. The pet can copy whatever it eats, but it drains stamina to hold the form. Honestly though, the surgeon thinks the magic ammo feels kind of nerfed, like shooting rubber bullets. Because of the ammo cap, he tied up the two survivors to interrogate them for intel. Sitting there, the guy tries to open the system app on his phone to get some map data. He asks the UI what to do and where he spawned, but the screen says it doesn't have exact coordinates. The AI just suggests making a regular phone call to an invalid number. Annoyed, the human realizes the default phone apps are completely bricked here. Next to him, the little slime is poking the magic egg out of curiosity. The catching the vibe, Legion stares at the item, deep in thought. He remembers the Green Dragon's quest log demanding a revive. The guy figures out he got kidnapped specifically to carry this beast's battles. Ready to take charge, he turns to the prisoners with an absolute death glare. Locking onto them, the surgeon asks if they are aliens. The goblins lose their minds when they hear the humans speaking their local language. With zero tolerance, the human yells, ordering them to drop the answers right now. He quickly realizes he can't actually hold a real conversation with them yet. Holding his sidekick, he understands he's only getting answers if he hatches the egg. But before doing side quests, the sniper decides to focus 100% on just not getting unalived. He decides he needs a safe house before solving the lore of this server. The surgeon steps out of the cave to scout the perimeter. Outside, a goblin is screaming with a sharp rock in its hand, ready to jump him. Before he even reacts, the mob gets squashed in the dirt by a one-hit KO. Looking at the entrance, the guy realizes the real raid bosses are the giant monsters out in the woods. Checking out the squashed beast, it's super clear this forest is a high-level danger zone. Looting the captured items, he scores some sleeping bags and beef jerky. Checking his inventory, he figures the prisoners were just scouts wandering too far from their base. 100% sure there's more aggro nearby, he tosses his gun in the air. Catching it, he doubles down on the need to gather more tactical intel. With heavy steps, he walks up to the tied-up minions in the dirt. Grabbing a stick, the ex-military guy draws a stickman and points at it. Serious, he tries to play charades, pointing at his own chest. Then, he focuses on two smaller stick figures drawn lower in the dirt. He glares at the targets, making it clear the tiny drawings are them. Finally, he sketches some huts and a big crowd to represent their clan. Using hand signs, he asks for the GPS coordinates to the enemy base. Surprisingly, the little guys actually get it and start whispering excitedly. Hyped about solving the puzzle, they point toward a specific part of the forest. One of them happily screams that the village is that way. But playtime is over when the sergeant presses the barrel against the little guy's head. Ice cold, he warns them that if they're capping, it's going to be game over for them. With a deadpan face, the young guy makes it crystal clear he doesn't do pranks. He points the gun at the dirt where he crossed out the stickman, signaling they'd get deleted. Doubling down on the threat, he points at two freshly dug graves in the ground. Scared out of their minds, the hostages nod like crazy, swearing they gave the right directions. Satisfied, the human notes that the village is just over the ridge. The squad starts moving out, with the goblins taking point to guide them. Hiding in the brush, the elf is hardcore stalking the humans' movements. The sergeant hands out jerky to reward the little guys. They wolf it down, completely clueless they're eating their own stash. The duo starts glowing with this super weird, red aura. Surprised, the sergeant draws his weapon, trying to figure out the magic gimmick. His phone and the egg also light up, syncing with the weird event. The UI pops up saying the goblins evolved after eating the snacks. Thanks to the magic, the screen confirms the prisoners have been successfully tamed. Gun at the ready, he gets a notification that he just downloaded their language pack. Hidden in the weeds, the scout's jaw hits the floor watching this happen. In a flash, the warrior spins around and bolts out of there at max speed. While sprinting, she uses her magic comms to ping the light leaders. Far away, mystical holograms demand she drop the citrip immediately. On her knees, she reports she was doing a patrol run near the human settlement. The informant claims she spotted an orc in that sector. The bosses listen to the intel about a blue orc hanging with low-tier mobs. The warrior swears on her life that he was spamming the Green Dragon's ultimate taming spell. Dead silence hits the room as the higher-ups process this absolutely wild report. Staring at her, the elder confirms they received the crazy message. They call out to Cilia Tuscarella, giving off major "you're in trouble" vibes. They ask exactly how old she is. Confused, she says she's 1.5 centuries in mystical years. The advisor sighs, looking visibly disappointed in this Gen Z elf. Complaining, the leader Boomer says back in his day, kids weren't this reckless. Spooked by the lecture, Cilia goes on mute. The group summons the elf Callian Aramalt, who steps up. The elf asks why the admins pinged him. Annoyed, the boss asks if the commander just went AFK on managing his troops. Making it worse, the leader asks if it makes any logical sense for an orcs to use a green dragon buff. Losing patience, the hologram orders the elf to fix this fake news situation. Sighing from getting yelled at, Callian turns to the scout. He crouches down and says he gets her thirst for payback after getting nerfed with a missing arm. But the elf lays down the facts: the emerald dragon got 100% deleted. Being blunt, he highlights that the golden entity itself vaporized the beast. Trying to, Cilia stutters, swearing she saw what she saw. The commander tears into her for spamming the admins with garbage intel without his sign off. Callian asks if she forgot how the chain of command works and kicks her from the channel. Totally humiliated, the young elf looks down and takes the L in silence. In the woods, she punches the ground, raging to let out her frustration. Fuming, she mentally cancels the boomers for thinking she's capping. Clenching her fists, she insists the energy was green and is super salty she gets zero respect because of her injured arm. The flashback of the monster that stole her arm pops up, fueling her villain origin story. With pure hate in her eyes, Cilia vows to permanently delete that green energy from the server. While a massive reptile screeches in the dense jungle, the beast chomps on a bug, causing absolute chaos that they watch from afar. The little guys drool and call the beast fast meat, while the sergeant just watches silently. Further, a colossal insect drags its shell across the dirt. Disgusted, the guides rate it as garbage tier meat. A hairy beast roars in the bushes, sounding like pure nightmare fuel. Hiding behind the sergeant, they call it the scary meat. Shaking, they confess their trial by fire was to steal the beast's poop, but they failed the quest. Putting the pieces together, the human realizes they got banned from the clan for being noobs. Getting over the fear, they hype themselves up, saying the Green King saved them. The sniper ruins their vibe, stating he doesn't lead anyone. The little monsters grab him, claiming they're all family now. They show off their skin, arguing that they're all rocking the same color palette. Exhausted, the young guy pulls his arm away, wanting to log out of this crazy situation. The little ones say skin color doesn't matter, because everyone spawns from the forest anyway. The campfire burns, warming up the tiny squad. The human sits by the fire while his 3 psychics are on standby sleeping. Checking the map, he remembers the raid boss level beasts he saw on the way. He also thinks about the giant bugs, deciding this place is basically a ticking time bomb. Alone in the spooky woods, he holds his bricked phone to keep his mind busy. A nice flashback from the pet shop pops up, reminding him how chill life used to be. He looks at the little pets sleeping peacefully on the rock. Catching the good vibes, the military guy's tough face drops into pure sadness. He looks down, letting the PTSD from the battles leak out. The fire burns bright right in front of their night camp. Suddenly, the campfire turns into a deadly inferno in his traumatized brain. The memory of his favorite workplace burning down hits him like a truck. A smartphone melts right next to the blazing rubble. Crying, the guy refuses to accept that his favorite place is totally gone. In the fairy chaos, a burning silhouette roars, celebrating the destruction. Devastated, the human screams, seeing his stuff turn to ash. The trauma trip gets cut off by the sound of a branch snapping under a boot. His eyes snap open, going into ultra-focus mode instantly. Faster than a bullet, the little jelly jumps on the sergeant, triggering the glow. Dropping into a lethal stance, Li Jian aims his piece at the trees and demands they show their tags. In the shadows, 2 guards freeze up, staring straight down the barrel of a gun. The human squad is paralyzed after stumbling into the enemy camp on the road. Seeing they are humans, the sniper lowers his guard just a bit. The guards totally freak out, pull their swords, and scream, triggering high alert. Trying to chill things out, the ex-military guy keeps his gun up but asks everyone to relax. Right then, the little orcs jump up, dropping into attack formation. Trying to bodyguard their leader, the little monsters charge furiously at the panicked humans. Suddenly, a polished boot touches down on the dirt super smoothly. The scout drops from the trees with her magic energy locked onto the fight. The warrior lands right in the middle of the mess, pushing both sides apart. In a flash, she kicks one of the green prisoners with insane force. The mid-air strike launches the creature like it weighs absolutely nothing. Taking it straight to the face, the little monster literally has 0 frames to dodge. The green being goes flying, doing flips through the grass. Mind blown by the entrance, the military guy and the minion just freeze. The guards stare in absolute awe at the main character energy of the elf hero. Gripping her blade tight, Cilia roasts the squad, calling them green trash. Acting super elite, she tells them to memorize the face of the one sending them to the lobby. Aiming at them, the girl introduces herself as the glorious light, Cilia Tuscarilla. Sword out, she sentences the shaman and the low-level mobs to be cancelled. Dropping the primordial being, she claims she'll scrub the darkness from the woods. Going full hard mode, the elf pushes forward without hesitating on her mission. The orc looks confused about being trash-talked, while his buddy is shaking with fear. Invoking her god, the young girl promises a total team wipe. Trying to process all this edgy dialogue, the human just mumbles in confusion. Nearby, the humans are just yelling stuff he can't even understand. Throwing his hands up, the orc says he just wants to chill, no PvP. But the humans scream that there's literally an orc right in front of them. Confused by the yelling, Cilia tells the guys to fall back, thinking it's some illusion spell. Lowering his hands, the military guy realizes the lobby just got way more toxic. He decides a warning shot in the air will fix this absolute mess. He cocks the gun, aiming up to give this arrogant elf a reality check. But a chill runs down the sniper's spine, making him freeze. The pistol loses its buff and turns back into goo, because it's completely out of mana. Holding the slime in the air, he stands there looking dumb while the empty shells bounce on the ground. The warrior coldly announces his RNG luck just ran out. Rushing in like a blur, the girl closes the gap, moving almost too fast to track. With a glowing blade, she swings a heavy attack straight at her target. On pure instinct, the goblin blocks the sword, eating the critical damage instead. This go down, the guards hype up the scout's brutal plays. Taking max damage, the little minion hits the ground, totally out of HP. The tiny creature spits out black liquid from the insane damage. Desperate, the military guy tries to fall back, dragging his wounded teammate. Impressed by the target's movement speed, the girl pauses for like a millisecond. Even so, the just worse grazes the guy's skin. Keeping up her relentless combo, she lands a direct blunt hit on the sergeant. The impact yeets the human hard into the dark jungle. Furious and refusing to stop, she keeps spamming attacks without taking a breath. Under massive pressure, the human clenches his jaw, feeling the heavy hits of the brawl. Doing acrobatics, the warrior pushes forward, while the sergeant tanks hits for his little buddy. Finishing her combo, she lands in a totally flawless fighting pose. Huffing with annoyance, the warrior demands to know how the target has the audacity. She screams she's going to body this low, tier trash with pure physical damage. Charging up a ton of mana, the elf asks the wind to buff her next strikes. Farther back, the orc drops down exhausted, listening to his ops swear to end him. A ton of blood leaks from the gash on the military human's hand. Breathing heavy, he tries to catch his breath, while the pet calls out to him, with zero energy. Salty about taking the L, the orc complains about his nerfed stats. Looking at his frozen hand, he realizes in pure panic he won't be able to shoot. Seeing the low HP, the slime pings the leader and begs him to log out of the fight right now. Going full kamikaze, the minion jumps at the girl to buy his boss a few seconds. Startled by the mob's jump scare, the elf drops her guard real quick. Covered in blood, the sergeant reaches out, but his zero stamina makes him collapse. Without breaking a sweat, the scout juggles the little monster in the air, leaving the boss stunned by her agility. Down in the dirt, the spare ammo clip is just lying there in the mud. With cold calculation, the human realizes that's his absolute last clutch opportunity. Up above, the minion falls while the girl charges her ultimate finisher. Ignoring his debuffs, the sergeant crawls through the brush to intercept the warrior. Moving tactically, he snatches the ammo, getting ready to make a play. Right next to the warrior, the guy flirts with disaster by sliding right past her. Fast as lightning, he chucks an item at his falling teammate. The little guy watches the throw, totally confused by this big brain strat. Catching the item on reflex, the creature squeaks as it grabs the cold metal. Then, the little guy realizes with pure hype that he's holding the pin for a flashbang. Senses tingling, the elf turns her head, suspecting a trap. With a brutal boom, the flashbang blinds the scout, yeeting her right into the dark bushes. Completely gassed out, the ex-military guy pants, hoping his dirty strat actually worked. Confused and out of stamina, the young guy's legs give out and he drops. The boss fall, the other little monster runs over and screams for him as he kneels in the dirt. Traumatized by the explosion, the goblin cries holding his cute, injured buddy. The little monster mourns his bro with some serious heartbreak vibes. The orc grabs his melted sidekick, going straight into shock seeing him like that. The dark vibes of the big war hit him, flooding his brain with PTSD flashbacks. Swallowed by the panic, the soldier curls up, surrounded by the ghosts of his past. Right then, the system UI announces that the orc's psychological trauma trait just activated. Totally losing it, the hero roars with pure rage, triggering the race's berserker passive skill. The guy's face twists into a terrifying monster mask, completely taken over by bloodlust. By the fire, the human guards hold the shivering goblin, staring at the massive shadow walking toward them. In literally a fraction of a second, the orc kicks the guards away like they are nothing. He stomps the ground, freezing the whole zone with his heavy boss aura. Leaking dark energy and rocking red glowing eyes, the military guy turns the area into a horror game. He stops, and strikes a massive pose right over the knocked-out elf. Pointing his sharp claws, the raging orc gets ready to send the warrior to the Shadow Realm. But as the smoke clears, he's already crouched down, desperately trying to heal his buddy. Holding the passed-out elf, he stops his punch when he notices a plot twist. The young guy's eyes go wide, and he snaps his head around super fast. In the clearing, he spots a glowing sphere chilling next to his goblin minion. A tiny yellow and blue slime pops out, looking 100% fine. The ex-military guy stares at a massive slime dragging itself nearby. The soldier's radio floats up, showing a fatal bug in the digital system. The screen plays a video of an old officer, telling the young guy to go be happy doing what he loves. Right then, a spiky orange pet pops out, making a squeaky noise. Another pink pet spawns right after, confirming the app's cloning mutation just popped off. Staring at this midnight fever dream, he realizes the goo magically dupes itself into new pets. Holding the tiny squad in his lap, he can't wrap his head around the broken magic logic. Even though he's clueless, the military guy's stressed face finally relaxes, just glad he saved his pet. With the aggro gone, the sergeant tosses the scout over his shoulder and rolls out with his mystical crew. The sun comes up, bringing morning light, while the girl wakes up in the grass. Super dizzy, the scout checks her map to figure out where she spawned. The nightmare fuel image of the raging orc's face instantly jump scares her brain. Remembering the beatdown, she hits panic mode and starts sweating buckets. Jumping up, the young girl declares she needs to upload her intel to base right now. She convinces herself the admins need to know how broken this orc shaman's stats are. But when she touches her head, she realizes her main legendary item is missing and her blood runs cold. Shaking, the elf realizes her headgear connection is totally gone. Hugging herself, the girl accepts that she's officially playing solo with zero comms. With reality setting in, she collapses, facing the fact that she's totally isolated for the first time. The memory of her item getting trashed plays on loop in her head. Surrounded by the ghost of her broken crystal, she screams out just how terrified she is. Crying her eyes out, the scout begs the goddess and the world tree for a hard carry. She shakes, calling out to her old mentor, completely refusing to be stuck in the woods alone. Taking advantage of the lag, a dino beast opens its jaws, ready to make the elf its breakfast. Waiting to get game overed, she cries for a carry when strong arms literally save her out of nowhere. Blinking, the young girl sees this ridiculously handsome human holding her. Looking at her softly, the savior asks her to drop the panic. She's totally swooning over the sweet vibes in his heroic dialogue. Leaning against a tree, the hero offers her a bowl of food so she can chill. Holding the bowl, the warrior blushes hard, totally fangirling over the handsome guy's touch. He gently blows on the soup so he doesn't burn the scout. While she sips the soup, feeling the human empathy, the system secretly starts casting tame on her. Tearing up, she asks if this guy is a literal angel dropped from the divine servers. Ruining the romantic tension, the deep voice claps back saying he could be the devil if she messes up. The filter drops, and the handsome guy morphs back into the blue sergeant, asking if she healed her HP. Talking to the goblins, the guy rates the forest herbs, saying they hit different. The elf swallows the soup right as her brain actually reboots for real. Horrified by her own cringe, she takes the soup straight into the surgeon's face on pure reflex. The elf's furious screech bounces off the mountains, waking up the birds. Wrapped up in a sleeping bag like a burrito, she aggressively demands they cut the ropes. Rolling around in the dirt, the girl promises to team wipe them, while the young guy just crosses his arms and ignores her. Cold and bossy, the orc treats the girl like a loud NPC hostage and demands she submit if she wants to stay in the game. She starts screaming insults, but a magic gag tightens around her, putting her on mute instantly. Getting chills, she wonders how a bottom-tier race managed to land a debuff on a high-tier noble like her. The forest goes quiet, and the captured humans look totally lost about this crazy magic plot twist. The minion jumps for joy, hyping that the boss absolutely owned the snobby noble. Scratching his neck, the ex-military guy isn't fully grasping these magic mechanics yet. Trying to figure it out, he pulls out his phone to check the skills wiki stats. The sniper remembers the moment his guides said the leaf soup acts like a brain cleans. Right then, the goblins were laughing, waiting for the girl to heal up so they could finish her off later. The screen says the healing item didn't auto-tame her because her mental defense stats were way too high. But because the elf is so incredibly stubborn, the app forced physical crowd control over her movements instead. Seeing the warrior locked in a magic stun, the military guy gets a ping that he just learned her language. Rubbing his chin, The sergeant does the math on just how busted this magic mind control really is. He compares the app's taming system to the hardcore boot camps he used to run back in the day. Looking at the tied-up, quiet guards, he suspects he accidentally tamed the whole group around the fire. To test the magic limits, the sergeant orders the tied-up elf to sit on the dirt floor. Without missing a beat, he commands the scout to stand up to confirm his admin privileges. Ice cold, the tactical leader demands she sit right back down in the middle of the clearing. The warrior throws a tantrum against the humiliating commands, making the sergeant force her to use her voice. Beyond furious, Celia screams she'd rather get unalived than take orders from this filthy shaman. Deadpan Legion demands she mute herself, forcing the girl to bite her lip to stop talking. With the girl physically locked down by magic, he confirms he has max authority over her character. Staring at his hands, the military guy wonders if his crazy strength is just another perk of this blue avatar. The memory of his brain going AFK pops up and he realizes his HP bar is fully restored with 0 scars. The guy remembers perfectly how that wild, blind rage completely bypassed his logic circuits. Then, the horrors of his actual war drop into his head again, proving the magic is messing with his mental stats. Trying to chill, he rubs his neck, attempting to organize the messy lore of this alien server. Sighing heavily, the sniper stumbles a bit, gaslighting himself into thinking it's just sleep deprivation. Sitting with his squad of magic pets, he admits he's completely lost in this high-level danger zone. Looking at an old photo on his phone, he remembers that wars are garbage, but his main objective never changes. Locked in on the picture of home, the soldier promises he has to tough it out to finish his main quests. Determined to get back, he yells, spooking the forest and setting survival as the only rule that matters. Going into full commander mode, the leader orders the tiny beasts to drop into combat formation right now. Glaring at the squad, he strictly announces that trust is at 0, but he's giving them one trial run to show their skills. The goblins listen in awe to his hardcore rules, agreeing that in their hood, only the sweatiest try-hard survive to tell the tale. The military guy launches a brutal boot camp for the team, demanding absolute obedience so they don't wipe to the toxic environment. During a grueling physical drill, the military guy warns that anyone who quits gets fed to the giant mobs. Running a hardcore obstacle course through the trees, he declares that the master title has to be earned with blood and sweat by the little guys. Fixing the tiny troops' positioning, Legion orders them to prove they are legit DPS units, not just cannon fodder. During the mock raid, the sniper tests stamina limits to make sure they deserve a spot in his party. Plot twist: one goblin attacks with insane skill, speed, and wild aggro, dual-wielding his tiny little knife. Eyes wide, the prisoner realizes in pure horror that she massively underestimated the combat rating of these local low-tier mobs. The girl goes speechless when she sees the little slime flawlessly morph into a literal human machine gun in the orc's hand. With the tutorial phase done, the tiny creatures click into their makeshift military roles like absolute pros. Solid as a rock, the big blue warrior directs the lethal goblin firing squad, prepping them for their next guerrilla op. The elf stares at the leader's face, mind blown by the insane micro-management strats he pulled out of thin air in this weird field. She thinks to herself that in all her 150 years of lore, she's never seen a commander with such broken tactical precision and organization. Watching the target dummies get shredded by the goblins, the young girl admits these tier beasts just became a massive threat to the local toxic forest meta. Legion inspects the line, demanding 100% focus units so their aim doesn't drift at all. The magic bursts obliterate the test targets with ridiculous damage, planting sheer terror into the noble elf's soul. Stressed out by the constant fear, Celia decides her faction leaders need to know that a tactical orc nuke is about to drop on the forest. She locks eyes on her shiny comms device sitting on top of the duffel bags under the main tree in the camp. Dragging herself through the dirt, the warrior inches toward the jewelry, desperate to ping the light squad no matter what it takes. But the human steps his heavy boot right on her outfit, stating with an ice-cold voice that her unpaid internship starts right now. Miles away in a basic, chill human village, a sweaty guard runs in screaming about a raid boss orc spawning in the woods. Surrounded by panicked NPCs, the guard rages at how blind they are for not believing the paranormal spawn he saw up in the mountains. The old mayor leans on his magic cane and waves the warning off as just another fake creepypasta spread by paranoid patrols. Waving his shaking arms, the guy screams that he literally saw a high-tier orc shaman who even made the elf hero bend the knee. The farmer begs them to lock down the village and send an sauce to the regional big shots to prevent a total team wipe. Cutting off the drama with total toxic energy, a disguised criminal laughs off the panic, asking how basic mobs could cross entire oceans. Crouching in the thick bushes right at the edge of the quiet plaza, the ex-military guy listens to the humans stressing over how his squad spawned in their forgotten town. The makeshift tactical unit stays dead silent, tracking every single move the humans make in the main square under the moonlight. To hijack the comms, Li Jian orders the pointy-eared girl to stand next to him and act as a translator in the bushes ahead. Cilia throws a fit, complaining about the blue beast's toxic work demands, but shuts up when she feels his boss level death glare. The local keeps yelling in his native tongue, prompting the surgeon to tell his prisoner to translate the problem ASAP. Salty about being ordered around, the scout yells that doing favors for monsters definitely isn't in her noble job description. With a cold, calculated comeback, the sergeant holds up her sacred comms jewelry to blackmail the stubborn elf into full compliance. He roasts her emotional attachment to the item and hints he might just give it back in one piece if she plays nice real quick. Playing intense mind games, the sniper claims his cute magic troops are still salty about the slash damage she dealt them earlier. Tossing the tiara in the air to troll her, the human calmly states he's putting her on a super tight timer to make an adult choice. Skipping the dramatic pauses, the military guy flexes his fingers and starts a lethal countdown from 3 seconds. Hitting number 2, the scout's brain blue screens, begging him to pause his toxic, destructive countdown. The exact millisecond the soldier yells 1, the tiny yellow slime opens its greedy mouth, ready to inhale the noble's shiny metal. Broken by the blue sniper's dirty tactics, Cilia takes the L and agrees to be his bilingual translator. Enjoying his aggressive diplomacy win, the ex-military guy smirks, knowing the prisoner is mentally flaming him as an absolute curse. Holding an insane amount of inner rage toward the cruel forest shaman, the scout makes a mental vow that her light squad will bring bloody karma to this night sniper. In the middle of the dirt square, the boomer elder tries to calm the chat, claiming local threats are just bottom-tier goblins near their isolated town. The guard stomps his foot, insisting the deep woods are a horror game, saying he didn't believe it either until he caught the giant beast in 40K. A heavily geared squad strolls into the plaza, laughing their heads off at the locals' totally paranoid, noob-level conspiracy theories. The blonde bandit boss mocks the mass panic, flexing that he owns the map and knows all the local mob routes. Acting super cocky, the blonde boss claims he provides ultimate carry protection for this dead-end village stranded in the goblin-infested mountains. The toxic blonde roasts the crazy idea of handing swords to squishy civilian NPCs, saying they get instantly wiped outside the village walls. Boiling over with rage, the local guard accuses the tactical squad goons of being absolute scam, artist mercenaries sent to bully their peaceful, leaderless town. The arrogant boss does a fake dramatic sigh, pretending he's hurt by the peasants' attitude, complaining about how hard it is to carry such ungrateful noobs right in front of his creepy gang. Going full savage, the blonde drops a massive slap on the weak guard's face, instantly shutting down the rebellion while the abused NPCs watch in tears. The villager eats dirt, triggering mass panic as the crowd cries in the mud, begging for the violence to stop in the middle of the night. Grabbing the innocent guy's collar, the toxic boss sadistically agrees with the elder's take on needing strict crowd control for the useless NPCs in this server. Camouflaged in the bushes, the magic soldiers watch the blatant bullying in silence, analyzing the one-sided beatdown across the muddy square. Cilia uses the awkward pause to throw shade at the orc, asking in her head if the cruel leader realizes his jump scare up the mountain was caused this poor NPC to get bullied. Ignoring her trash talk, Li Jian stays hyper, focused on the mission, ordering his team to switch to non-lethal ammo and stun weapons. With zero empathy and cold as the literal Grim Reaper hanging over the lonely village, the mercenary demands everyone just accept the pain. Right before the gang's noisy, unhinged violence can continue, a glowing projectile snipes the criminal straight in the jaw out of nowhere in the dead of night. The energy blast knocks the criminal out cold, making the entire squad of goons freak out and scream about the forest raid boss actually spawning. Stepping out of the bushes with his gun locked in a tactical stance, Li Jian casually announces he slipped on the mud, immediately flaming his minion to hit the aim trainer. Scanning his makeshift squad, the sergeant calls out the first takedown and gives the order to ghost out into the dark, quiet countryside. Super confused by the cruel commander doing a no-kill run, the elf scout questions his weird pacifist retreat, totally failing to grasp the big, brain military strats of this dark, cold sniper in this crazy magic world. Interrupting the scene, a two-legged Jurassic beast blocks the escape route, roaring with a bloody mouth. Faster than lag, the tiny orc warrior rushes in with a burst of fire, dropping a hardcore battle cry against the massive, terrifying jungle boss. Right behind him, the blue gun minion charges in, spamming shots at the aggressive giant mob. With a sudden, savage dive, the little green guy lands an absolutely cracked knee, strikes straight to the back of the terrifying beast's neck. The sonic boom makes the giant boss stumble back, grunting in shock. The beast wide open, the tiny duo unleashes an absolute bullet hell from different angles, showing off the flawless agility taught by the cold, tactical orc boss. Holding a perfect tactical angle in the shadows, the sniper spreads magic terror with his insanely broken fast learning skills. Overwhelmed by the non-stop glowing magic DPS, the reptile drops, roaring from the insane chip damage tearing through its thick armor. The giant beast's eye shows pure panic as it realizes it's getting totally melted by these tiny, fast shooters hiding in the dark. Stealing the mob's breath, the gunner delivers a brutal kick straight to the face. Pressing the advantage, his partner spams rapid fire shots at the exact same time. The ammo hits bone, totally wrecking the posture and balance of the massive, clumsy dinosaur wandering the dark jungle. Like a perfectly cinched sports team, the duo locks the beast in a brutal, infinite stun lock combo. Right then, the tiny blue fighter pulls out a trench knife, diving in for an insane, bloody melee finisher. He spams quick slashes, completely breaking the enemy's shield bar. The dagger tears through lightly, causing the heavy beast's animations to glitch. Spinning like an absolute madman, he buries the fatal blow into the beast fast. P-fassing, devastating critical hit right in the middle of this creepy magic forest. Wrapping up the combo with a glorious, heavy-hitting plunge attack, he strikes the core and topples the boss, ending the chaotic fight full of mud, magic, and pure try-hard energy. The massive creature finally bites the dust, and the military guy notes how they perfectly executed the special attack pattern. Standing close, the proud unit celebrates the W, proving they completely memorized the hardcore close combat strats from the old human world wars. Soaking in this chaotic victory, the young master gets a flashback to the horrific, fiery bullet, hell days of Earth's past. Back in those smoke-filled days, any decent gunner would take the lead, training clueless noobs to survive the meat grinder of machine guns and landmines in that absolute wasteland. The main goal was just making sure these rookie kids stayed alive to see their homes again after fighting in that toxic, brutal hellscape. Sitting in the trenches, the soldier remembers how going full suicide squad for the team was super common, with zero expectation of being saved by some divine light. Staring at the ruined camp, the young guy realizes that non-stop hardcore training is what actually boosted their survival rates using old-school, gritty methods. While slapping on a bandage, the hero reflects that constant grinding would just lead to party wipes and burnout for his guerrilla sniper squad. Chilling by the fire, he hyper-focuses on using his current stun ammo to peacefully clear the village without casualties. The military guy feels genuine respect for his little green troops because they downloaded his advanced combat strats with zero lag. The leader looks at his shape-shifting minion, totally capable of splitting up and turning into literal machine guns to spam damage. Leaning back on the defeated beast, the sergeant mentally adds himself to this walking arsenal. The animal quickly scarfs down the meat he offers, and the orcs figures out that feeding the beast triggers the taming mechanic. Gulping down the steak, the system pops up confirming the mob has been 100% enslaved via food. The hero stares at the beast's face and officially renames his new battle mount, Caillou, from here on out. Riding out, the squad speeds off on the beast's back toward their objectives, proving they have the perfect DPS and mobility for stealthy, surgical strike ops in this toxic forest server. Later on the road, the hero pulls out his dead radio, pointing out it's a massive handicap to run ops without any comms to the squad. The guy notes that a long-range radio would fix their lag and open up crazy new strats. He was totally convinced his engineering skills would give them a huge advantage, but a random scream ruins his master plan. Super triggered, the elf points her nails and demands the hero hand over her shiny divine tiara so she can phone home to her fake noble kingdom. Scratching his face, the warrior pulls out the gold item, asking if her little tantrum was over the shiny toy currently in his giant blue hands. The scout rushes in, crazy desperate to snatch her precious necklace back from this terrifying, soulless orc who doesn't even use a bow. Dodging her, he hides the jewelry and switches topics, totally killing the noble elf's momentum. The human directly asks what her weird obsession is with a basic gold accessory from a dead era of boomer elves. The stress corners the elf, who mentally freaks out about how surreal it is that this dirty mob acts like a high-tier military commander while carrying a gun in a fantasy world. She connects the dots, remembering the brutal training, which proves he's a legit leader running an actual firing squad. Completely shook, the elf realizes the absolute dictator-level discipline he forces on his green firing squad in this unforgiving map. Overwhelmed by fear, she promises herself she'll leak his coordinates to the server admins as soon as she gets her comms back. Faking a tear, the scout claims it's a family heirloom, but the sergeant forces her to drop the act and spill the real lore. Playing her last card, she plans to scream for an admin ban on this weird, tactical orc anomaly before her fancy elf pride is totally ruined. Awkward silence drops in the woods as the two just death stare each other. Zero good vibes, zero peace, just tension in the cold night near the terrified, oppressed village down below. Crushed by her massive L, the noble drops secret tears, cursing the devs, the orc boss, and her endless bad RNG being stuck with these literal aimbots who obey his every cold, calculated command. Dripping with irony, the human drops his theory, teasing her about the invisible magic Wi-Fi the elves use to chat. He tosses the shiny thing near her to test her reaction, asking if her magic earpiece is basically a walkie-talkie for weaponless elves. Pulling a totally risky move, the tactical genius chucks the gold earring right at her face to see how the traumatized girl reacts. Skipping the terms of service, he slaps the gold thing on his own head, using magic to hack the wireless elf network. Blown by the orc's audacity, the diva goes full Karen, screaming that he's violating the sacred toss of their holy comms. She reaches out her weak arm trying to cancel his stupid idea, yelling no. In the middle of the creepy, dark woods, the horn-shaped earpiece sticks to his ear, instantly teleporting his brain into the server's cloud, dropping him into the fake, golden piece of the elf's virtual lobby. The soldier gets lost in this endless clear void, spotting the majestic avatar of the elf admin who has absolutely zero real-world military use. Annoyed by the ping, the superior elf turns around to find the hacker from the low-tier dirt servers invading his premium holy lobby. Super curious, the guy inspects the weird UI, trying to figure out how this connection actually works. Acting like the hardware is bugged, the military guy taps the tiara a few times and complains out loud that it's lagging. The weird noise catches the elf admin slipping right before the magic Wi-Fi randomly disconnects. Booted back to reality, the leader looks confused about the sudden disconnect and summons the scout. In the real world, Cilia is dumbfounded and asks how he literally saw nothing in the sacred network. Taking the jewelry off his head looking puzzled, Legion just asks what exactly he was supposed to see in there. Right then, one of the minions jumps up super hyped, trying to snatch the item to play with the new toy too. Instantly, the connection re-establishes, and the little monster's signature cuff blasts directly into the elf admin's brain. Raging at the sound of a low-tier mob, the advisor screams, demanding to know who hacked his frequency. But the elf just gets left on read, completely isolated and furious in his VIP chat room. Back at the camp, the little creatures start playing tug of war with the Tyra, fighting over whose turn it is, while Cilia practically cries begging them not to break the legendary drop. The warrior yells at the minions, calling them uncultured swines while trying to get her item back. Ignoring the drama, the military guy rubs his ear, annoyed by the noise, while his slime buddy happily bounces around. Right at that moment, the slime lands perfectly on the boot of one of the green fighters. Startled by the hit, the minion trips over his own feet and falls flat on his back, making the expensive jewelry fly out of his hands. Taking the free assist, the little purple slime stretches out and snatches the item mid-air before it hits the ground. The entire camp freezes in absolute silence, everyone just staring at the tiny pet balancing the tiara on its head. Without a second thought, the jelly literally just swallows the metal item whole. Watching her last lifeline get eaten, the elf hits max panic and lets out an ear-piercing scream of pure despair. Ignoring the prisoner's meltdown, the guy walks over to his trio of sidekicks, dropping into a chill, strategic stance. He gives the pet the green light to act. Far away in the cloud server, the elf admin's hologram pops up again, totally shocked by the sudden reboot of the comms. The admin gets the jump, scare of a lifetime when a colossal, terrifying version of the slime invades his private lobby. Freaking out, he screams, having zero clue what he's fighting. Running on survival mode, the elf instantly draws his dual blades to fight off the threat. Without hesitating, he goes all out, spamming a crazy fast cross/combo at the giant mob. But the sweaty attack just hits air, and the giant form vanishes into a clear mist, leaving the elf totally lost in the void. Frozen in combat stance with his swords out, the admin breathes heavily, trying to process what kind of fever dream just hacked his brain. Still stuck in the empty room, the leader sheathes his weapons and screams into the mic, demanding to know what his scout did to the server. Back in the physical forest, the admin's angry yelling echoes from the swallowed device. The young girl drops to the grass, totally defeated hearing her name screamed like that. The military guy holds the jelly close to his face, impressed by the volume of the magic speaker. Completely drowning in dark vibes and feeling totally humiliated, the hostage mutters promises of revenge, swearing she's gonna cancel that toxic orch. Losing all her chill, she looks up and unleashes an unhinged scream, promising to team wipe all of them with no mercy. While the elf rages in the background, the sergeant casually turns his back, walks away, telling his squad they're gonna go grind for a bit. Walking through the forest, the commander looks at the yellow minion chilling on his shoulders after its weird snack. Keeping his voice low to avoid pulling aggro, the human asks the creature straight up about the item it just ate. He asks hopefully if the pet can craft it into a secure, private Discord channel for the squad. The creature blinks its big eyes and makes a happy noise, confirming it can. Getting the thumbs up from the slime, the tactical leader's face goes ice cold and hyper-focused. Instantly, the fission's skill activates, and tiny pieces of the minion morph into tactical earpieces for the little warriors. The sergeant runs a mic check reading numbers, while the minions lose their minds with hype hearing his voice crystal clear in their ears. Satisfied with the tech test, the ex-military guy smirks a bit, confirming the comms are online. Looking at his geared-up squad, he announces the prep phase is over and officially starts the squad's second raid. The target for this night op is locked in, that quiet little village they scouted earlier. Taking point, the guy orders them to secure their specific zones and pushes a fast, no-nonsense advance. Behind at the camp, Cilia takes a deep breath, feeling her stamina hitting 0 in her magic bindings. Stuck in the moonlight, the warrior is devastated realizing this weird orc just hijacked her species' main comms network. She vividly pictures the enemy squad riding the dinosaur, using big brain strats and long-range comms to totally grief the area. Consumed by guilt, she realizes this is going to be a massive disaster and blames herself for handing them the exact tool they'll use to farm NPCs. Determined to fix her misplay, the warrior flexes her legs trying to break the magic CC, using the innocent lives at stake as her motivation buff. Sweating bullets from the grind, the elf begs her body to push through. Knowing the shaman is AFK, she realizes this is her only window to break out of jail. Suddenly, her fancy boot slips just a bit, breaking the stun and leaving a mark in the camp's dirt. The warrior's eyes go wide, a mix of shock and hype, as she realizes her character model is finally responding to inputs. Instantly, the hostage starts doing a prone crawl through the night grass, fighting insane resistance. Even with her massive willpower, she's moving at a snail's pace, like her character is over, encumbered with invisible loot. Annoyed by the massive lag, the scout grits her teeth, cursing her own low stats in a clutch situation. Shaking off the tilt immediately, she copes by telling herself that crawling like a noob is still better than AFK king while a tragedy happens. Tapping into her noble pride, the elf focuses on charging her mana, hardcore praying to the nature devs for a buff. A glowing aura wraps her legs as she drops her titles, begging for a speed buff and swearing she can break the spell. Going full try hard, the young girl promises to unleash the true power of her immortal faction to clap those trash mobs. The spell actually works, and she gets launched forward like a bullet, leaving a glowing trail in the dark dirt. But without steering, the crazy speed boost makes her scream as she literally mows down the plants, dragging her face through the mud at match 10. Looking absolutely unhinged from the adrenaline spike, she hypes up the broken speed, confident she'll call for backup once she hits the village. Zooming down the path, the young girl laughs like a maniac, promising to drop a massive ban hammer on the orc who did this to her. The camera cuts to the middle of the quiet village under the full moon, showing a super toxic vibe. The bandit boss is back with a bruised face, cruelly holding an NPC's face while capping about getting hit by high-level spells. His preppy sidekick laughs at the story of the forest brawl, showing off how they completely own this server. Dropping his tag as Herald, the guild's vice cap, he sarcastically claims his squad acts as server admins for the region in the name of justice. Striking a dramatic pose, the toxic leader brags about his guild's power to the shaking NPCs in the square. Switching to direct bullying, he accuses the locals of secretly plotting a mutiny, totally ignoring the poor guard's tears. Glaring at the elder on the dirty ground, the villain warns that the old kidnappings weren't enough to make them behave, promising a much harsher penalty this time. With zero chill, Harold orders his goons to wipe out half the male NPCs and sell the rest of the families as loot. The edgy monologue gets rudely interrupted by the sound of someone hitting the brakes hard at the village entrance. Totally scuffed from her high-speed drag, Cilia stops right in front of the vice cap, who asks what zone this random girl spawned from. Shaking from the damage and zero stamina, the elf looks up, trying to figure out where her crazy fast travel dumped her. The gang boss demands an answer, giving the newbie a super creepy, toxic stare. Ignoring the obvious red flag standing over her, the girl gasps for air, warning everyone to run from the mob squad coming their way. Cutting off her SOS ping, the guy in the black cloak puts his hands up, telling her to mute her mic and chill. Acting super cocky, the criminal grabs the injured Elfa's chin and is hyped to see she's a legit premium skin from the Forest faction. His goon's jaws drop, whispering about her legendary bloodline and their VIP connection to the Golden Creator God. Trolling his own panicked squad, the boss points at the elf's smooth forehead, showing she got stripped of her faction's divine comms item. Staring right into the fragile girl's face, he evilly deduces she got banned from her own server and rates her as mid-tier trash. Instantly, a merc grabs the warrior from behind. The boss calls dibs on her as his personal loot and brutally states he's going to nerf her legs so she can't dash away. Lifting the elf with zero effort, the goon flexes how light she is, treating her like a level 1 noob. Showing off his strength stats, the criminal decides to flex and holds the hostage in the air with just one hand. Suddenly, the goon's flex gets cancelled when a sound cuts through the air, making the boss make a super confused noise. Cracked magic bullet snipes through the dark and hits the goon perfectly, catching the entire squad lacking. Thanks to the ridiculous knockback of the surprise shot, the bandit takes a massive hit and gets launched uncontrollably backward. The bulky dude drops like a rock, leaving the vice cap totally frozen, watching his teammate get deleted. The empty shell casing hits the dirt, smoking, confirming the stealth takedown. Walking out of the dark bushes, the military guy steps up into the light exactly where the elf is laying. Dropping into a flawless combat stance, the sergeant aims his energy piece at the targets while standing right next to the scout. Scanning the lobby with a serious face, he bluntly states he's here to carry her out of this mess. The elf is absolutely shook by the notification, asking in disbelief if he actually showed up for a rescue mission. Dropping her username, the blue hero clarifies his objective isn't just her, but saving every single NPC in this chill village. Saying that, the human grips the elf's shoulder tight, giving her a physical buff in the middle of the chaos. Feeling the touch, the warrior is mind blown when she instantly recognizes that human warmth. The flashback of the ridiculously good-looking guy who saved her in the woods hits her brain hard. Keeping his piece aimed, the military guy asks if her HP took a hit, making the shy girl mumble that she thinks she's good. The surgeon apologizes for the lag and asks the hostage to act as his translator again, which she accepts instantly. Pointing the barrel to the sky to show he's serious, he loudly demands an emergency voice chat with the bandit squad. Absolutely terrified by the cutscene, Harold sweats bullets and stutters, trying to process what kind of crazy deal this is. Seeing the enemy lagging, the surgeon asks if he needs a sec to process, calmly promising to give him a generous timer. Losing patience, the leader aims the gun directly at the vice cap's face and starts a countdown from 3. Staring down the bandit with pure ice in his veins, the soldier keeps the pressure up and drops a 2. Hiding in the back, the green partner preps his magic gun and signals the end of the timer with a own. Right next to him, the masked minion holds his flawless military angle, hard scoping the targets. With a loud pop, a magic beam slices the zone and grazes Harold, making the goons behind him absolutely lose it. The mana bullet keeps going and directly hits the criminals stacked up behind their boss. After the bang, a bunch of bandits hit the dirt, leaving the vice cap stunned as he stutters, asking what kind of broken magic that was. Using the lag spike, heavy footsteps rush in, and a military boot stomps down hard next to one of the knocked-out thugs. Surrounded on all sides, the vice cap sweats buckets and panics, realizing this weird enemy is completely overpowered. Trying to fight back, the remaining thugs pull their blades and rush the blue orc, screaming insults and desperately asking what hacks he's using. Blinded by rage, the mob of criminals charges the military guy, screaming basic enemy battle cries. Showing zero fear, the ex-military guy plants his feet and doesn't give a single inch of space to the sword rush. Zero ping reflexes, he spams lethal shots, dropping the rushers before they even close the distance. Completely controlling the map, the sergeant shows no mercy, landing a headshot on a thug trying to gap close. When a bandit tries a slide tackle, the sergeant cancels it instantly with a point-blank shot. Flexing his CQC skills, the guy parries a sword swing with his arm and deletes the enemy in a fraction of a second. Trying to be stealthy, a merc jumps from behind screaming for the military guy to die, but the blue hero reads the play perfectly. Moving like water, the commander side steps the sword and instantly drops a heavy counter on the enemy. The clean hit breaks the bandit's posture bar, leaving him dizzy and totally stunned. Punishing the opening, the sniper finishes the melee combo with one last ruthless shot. After wiping the lobby, the sergeant stands up straight and reloads his magic gun with maximum chill. The mechanical click of the pistol cocking echoes through the square, acting as a crystal clear warning. Locked in again, he raises the barrel and aims down sights at the few bandits still standing. Completely paralyzed by fear, the vice cap's eyes bug out as he sweats rivers, stuttering and begging the human to wait. Looking like an absolute boss in the cleared square, the blue leader holds the zone surrounded by dropped loot, keeping the pressure on the boss. Sneaking around, the arrogant blonde bandit creeps up behind the ex-military guy with a fast swing dagger. Out of awareness, the sergeant does a 180, showing off red eyes running on pure killer instinct. Caught in 40k, the coward gets the ultimate jump scare when the gun barrel is pressed right against his face. Facing that terrifying death aura, the bandit's legs give out, and he drops the dagger in the mud. Consumed by pure panic, the blonde goon turns and sprints away screaming about the orc boss, totally abandoning his own leader. Seeing his teammate rage quit, Harold screams the guy's name in fury, ordering the coward to come back and help. Drowning in despair, the villain leader flames his remaining squad, yelling at them to stop spectating and actually push. But his voice cracks when he realizes the map has totally shifted around him. Flexing how easy this is, one of the goblins casually plays with a dropped helmet from a knocked-out bandit. Sitting on an unconscious thug, the masked minion wipes the blood off his blade with absolute focus. Closing the trap, the third little guy flashes his shiny knife, giving the criminal boss a death glare. The vice cap opens his eyes to pure nightmare fuel, feeling the heavy weight of a total team wipe. Before he can even press block, the criminal feels the cold barrel of a gun pressed to the back of his neck. Radiating major boss energy, the orc leader drops a harsh command in his native tongue, telling the bandit to hit his knees immediately. Zero stamina left to resist, the bandit boss's legs shake, completely losing his balance. Mentally broken by the terror, the once cocky mercenary drops to his knees in the mud, accepting the massive L. With the plaza secured, the tactical commander holds the gun steady while the elf watches from the back. In the distance, the bullied NPCs stare at the crazy plot twist in awe, barely believing they just got carried. The forest warrior locks onto the sniper's broad shoulders, totally amazed by his insane crowd control skills. Back in focus, the sergeant orders his green minion to hunt down the runner, getting a "Hi, sir," instantly. While the Jurassic beast stumps into the village, the sergeant turns his head, calling for the elf prisoner. Dropping into a calm voice, he asks the scout to translate his speech for the village again, which she does, still shook by his actions. Standing in front of the NPCs, the commander loudly asks if the crowd is terrified of his squad's spawn. Using the elf's translation, he asks if they're panicked because he looks like an orc or because he's running with armed green minions. Hit with a direct question, the villagers start whispering, clearly uncomfortable and spooked by the blue and green invaders. Breaking the crowd's assumptions, the military guy honestly admits that his squad is also pretty nervous around humans. He explains the tension is literally just because they don't know each other and don't share a server language. Going deeper, the warrior warns that this fear can randomly flip into toxic hate and insane prejudice. The young guy drops some sad lore, saying that because of these exact faction wars, his old server ended up totally trashed. Flashbacking to burning trenches, the military guy admits his real home is still a dumpster fire to this day. Staring dead serious at the villagers, he drops a heavy question, asking if they really want their chill zone to end up just as ruined. Seeing them stress, the leader lowers the intensity and says they can save that deep lore for later. Changing the subject, the guy holds his hands up in a chill pose and offers a win-win trade. The village elder listens closely as the blue visitor promises to provide hardcore armed security for the weak town. In exchange for the carry, the sergeant sets one rule: the village has to provide supply drops for his small squad. Clenching his fists, he asks for a fair co-op deal and swears to protect every NPC honestly, without asking for VIP treatment. Hearing the terms, the old guy asks super skeptically how they could ever trust a deal from a literal monster. Instantly, the other villagers back him up, scared that the blue squad is secretly plotting to grief them. Super chill, the sergeant explains their goal is simple: they just want to camp peacefully and farm some food in the area. The tactical commander holsters his weapon and promises that even if they reject the party invite, his squad will never aggro an NPC. The elf watches the orc commander act totally pacifist while he makes his non-aggression pact crystal clear to the crowd. But the vibe does a total 180 when he announces that things will get ugly fast if anyone tries to gank his team. Pointing at the plaza dirt, the young guy swears anyone who tries to PvP will get dropped right there, joining the knocked-out bandits. Cold, hyper-focused look, the sniper makes it known that this last warning is an absolute, unbreakable rule. Interrupting the speech, the villagers apologize for talking over him, but warn the elder about the heavy risks of teaming up with orc mages. Gripping his cane, the old man pushes past the fear and explains that part of their community is actually locked up by the enemy faction. The guy sighs, saying some NPCs are hostages in a bandit base, but nobody has the map coordinates. He drops more lore, mentioning that a legendary dwarf blacksmith named Balak is also stuck in the cage. The bearded blacksmith is basically the MVP of the region because his god, tier crafting, leveled up the village's tech tree. The crafter's insane skills were the main engine that turned this tiny town into a major hub for premium textiles. Wrapping up, the elder sadly admits that while they're hyped about the rescue, they're terrified the other bandits will spot the new alliance. The old boss warns that if the gang finds out, it won't just be game over for the hostages. The whole village will get camped relentlessly. Being super real, the elder says they can't accept the deal because their defense stats are too low. In response, the sergeant instantly promises to run a rescue mission. The scout's jaw drops hearing such a pure hero move from the guy she thought was pure evil. The village chief's eyes bug out in disbelief at the random carry offer from the new guy. Walking around the square, the ex-soldier promises to completely wipe the bandit faction off the server, asking if that would change their minds. Still confused by the promise, the NPCs ask how the blue shaman is going to pull off a raid without even knowing where the enemy base spawned. Right then, the sergeant reveals his tiny minions are already tracking the runner, and the raid starts the second they get the map ping. Standing tall in front of the crowd, the sniper calms everyone down, swearing the mercenary guild is getting deleted whether the village accepts the party invite or not. Laying down his moral code, the sergeant states the golden rule: good vibes get paid with good vibes, and toxic behavior gets paid with lead. Cilia listens super closely to the tactical boss, privately wondering how he deals with the burden of protecting people everyone else thinks are doomed NPCs. Looking majestic under the moonlight, the blue leader promises that the biggest threats in this zone are about to be permanently uninstalled by his squad's firepower.